I hope my voice is okay. I think it is. I'll probably get real nervous if I start holding the mic and do stuff. So when I got to do this thing too, that's right. Then I'm fighting a cold. Some of you know that, and so I'm not having shaken anybody's hand yet because I'm scared to death I'm going to give this to somebody else. I've been there since 1982. Actually, before then, I was teaching in Florida. I taught actually junior high, middle grade. I am a huge fan of citizen science stuff, and having gone through now all of yesterday, a little bit of today, I think what I would like to do, one of my goals with you people, is to maybe get you to think about how can I get other people involved in this kind of stuff. I did this stuff with an undergraduate biology class, with undergraduate biology classes at Concordia. And I kind of didn't really know what I was getting into. My background was wildlife biology and ornithology, and so I kind of would naturally steer towards that stuff. So in fall of 2012, Matt Gubanyi, who used to work for the AKP, gave a workshop near where I lived at an Audubon sanctuary. And out of curiosity, I went to it. And he showed us how to build boxes. Most of the people there were families, and they would build a nest box and take it home and put it up, and they kind of told us all about that stuff. And I kind of imagined things, and so I talked to Matt afterwards, and I said, you know, could I do something like this with my undergraduate biology students at Concordia? Maybe put a bunch of boxes out, and I teach a biology research class, and I teach ornithology classes. And he was really pretty gung-ho. He said, go for it. So I did. And I had two classes in mind. That following semester, I was teaching, we don't have ornithology as its own course. When we want to teach our own kind of special thing, they just call it honors biology. So I have been teaching, in fact, I'm teaching it now. Then I taught a biology research class. And initially, my goals were to do research. I wanted the students to collect data, so I wanted to get quite a few boxes out there. And then the ornithology class, I wanted it to be a citizen science project part of that class. So Concordia has a requirement for all of their students before they graduate, they have to do, and they call it service learning. And it's been kind of a contentious thing at Concordia, because some people think that service learning is community service, or like when you just turn in your hours, and they don't understand that it should be more like citizen science, and it should be discipline-based. And ornithology is like perfect for that stuff. And so from the 1970s, I've been involved in Christmas bird counts, and breeding bird surveys, and breeding bird atlas, nightjar survey. And I just do it because it's fun, and I bet there's a bunch of other people out here that do that kind of stuff. Now here's kind of the neat thing with college kids, or with whoever your group is that you're associated with. If you get people involved, and if they're young people, you've started a lifetime passion. And I'm old, and so I'm retired. So I now have former students who come back and tell me about the things that they do, and that's really kind of an uplifting thing. And so that was those were my goals. The research, initially I had 3 students doing researching the Kestrel stuff, and they had background in GIS, and so they were looking at macrohabitat and microhabitat kind of things. And ideally we wanted to compare habitat in used and non-used boxes, but like some of these other studies, we had a bunch of boxes out, and Kestrels didn't use them the first year. So it didn't work real well. I did have one student the following year who actually looked at the temperature in boxes relative to nest box orientation. So with the boxes on the backside, north side of a tree or a telephone pole. It didn't work real well because our semester's over the first week in May, and so they couldn't really look at it at kind of a critical time. So, oops, wrong about that again. So I didn't know what I was doing. 50 was kind of an easy number. I'll build 50 boxes and put them up around Seward County. contact, AKP was really great. I contacted them, and Matt arranged for a $500 grant to help pay for materials. Didn't even have to use it all. Went and got local businesses. So we had a Home Depot in Lincoln, and they donated materials, and Seward Lumber they also gave us discounts, and we were able to really keep under budget with kind of that stuff. Here's another thing, citizen science and getting students involved. I took my students with me everywhere I went, so that, you know, I had 1 or 2 students. They would go with me and talk to Home Depot. They would go with me and to the Nebraska Game and Parks office and talk to the people there and learn what it's like to do this kind of stuff. So we did that stuff. It was time consuming on finding the nest boxes. I wanted to get 50 nest sites. You're driving around the country, you find a site. If it's a landowner, that's 15 to 30 minutes just to go in. They wanted, you got to tell them the story. I had some of them, I shared that yesterday. I had to convince them that no, kestrels aren't going to eat your bobwhite. They're not going to eat your wood ducks. But again, that's part of the citizen science thing. It's a neat thing because what you're doing is you're educating a community. So we did those kinds of things. I kept seeing these telephone poles. They just looked like perfect places. And I kind of said, you know, those people at the Public Power District office, they're not gonna, you know, let you do this stuff. I went to their office. They were great. Now, I'm kind of lucky. Seward's a small 5,000 to 6,000 people around the, you know, so it's kind of rural. It's not a big, huge place, and they were just great. They said, sure, do it. They had some rules. You know, don't get up close to the power. You don't want you climbing up there by the power line. So 10 feet below the power lines. And so it actually worked really well. So, nest box construction. If you haven't done this, and I know some of you have, it's not a small task. I didn't know what I was doing. I had students, and it turned out that most of them were in ornithology class. They were just great. Fortunately, right next to the science building is the art building. They have a wood, basically a woodworking lab, and they said, sure, you can use it when it's available in free time. And my students went over, they showed us how, and they built them all. And we just followed the protocol. I don't think we have this handout anymore, do we? I think we've changed how we build nest boxes a little bit. So they build them. You know, they had teams. As it says, a few boxes made per hour. It took about 3 or 4 weeks. So you know, it really worked well. It was fun thing, and they were really enthusiastic about it. It just, you know, they felt like they were doing something. It wasn't busy work that's one of my terms. This isn't Joe Gubanyi busy work. We're doing the real stuff here, team. So the on-site nest construction or installation was pretty interesting too. I mean, I'd been on a ladder. I'd actually studied barn owls out in western Nebraska years before. This was a different thing. I had college students. University wouldn't be happy if I had somebody falling off of a ladder, you know, while we're trying to put up a nest box. So I was really overly conservative, and we had 2 ladders. And one student went up, and they held the box, and then I was up there and screwing the thing in. And by the way, old telephone poles are really hard. You need a ultra power drill to get it in. And so we did that. It didn't take too long that I was able to do it all kind of on my own. I preset the screw, and I could go in there and I could hold it. And that was more about, I didn't want to haul out 2 ladders and get them off of the top of the vehicle and get them loaded. All of that takes time. I can't emphasize enough. You got to think about logistics and managing time if you're doing this stuff. And some of the studies that I'm hearing, I was just begging. I was going to ask yesterday for somebody who had like 300 boxes. How many volunteers did you have? We just had 50. So we did get 50 built. We only got 46 put up, and again, it just took a lot of time, even with the student volunteers. 26 were put up before April 2nd. We really wanted to get them all up because AKP said, you know, Matt said, kestrels are coming in March. You got to have them up. Well, we got a few up in March, and we got 26 up by April 2nd. 11 more at the end of the month, and then the last 9, my son was home for the summer. He's a science teacher, and I just took him out and we put them up. So this is the data. Follow the protocol. You know, so it was totally kind of luck in terms of the balance between private and public and the public power district. And we didn't think about it. Kind of get to a site and put it where this is where it fits. You know, so it's on the north because that's the easiest accessible place. This bottom thing, student data, land use surrounding the habitat. That was that my GIS students did that. So this is not a very good map. One of my students made it. It was better on thing. And I want to show you. Let's see. Is this? Oh, let's see. Where's the button with the red dot?
If you just hold down the middle one.
The middle one. Oh, there we go. So Seward's an interesting county. This part of the county has been influenced by glacial moraine. It's kind of a mix of eastern deciduous forest and prairie. And this is pretty much cropland. If you can see those little tiny circles, they're all center pivots. Very flat, wetland kind of area. So it was kind of an interesting place to set up a study because we had a contrast in two different kinds of habitats in order to analyze, and we sort of lucked out with the balance. You can barely see the little orange kind of mustard circles. Those are the actual where nest places were. This is only 37. It didn't include the 9 that my son helped me put up. So the initial protocol check in March and April, well, we didn't have anything, and I think the earliest, I don't think I've had eggs in April, it's in early May. And we just followed the protocol. I want to commend AKP. I thought all the information on the website was really great. Even on the birder and on the science person, I wasn't familiar with the protocols, and it was really pretty easy to follow. So we did some of the things we did. Non-nesting season. I didn't really clean out a lot of boxes, but we didn't have much kestrel use. And so it turned out verifying nest boxes were a pretty important thing. The public power district tore down some telephone poles. They said they would tell me so I could get my box, but they didn't. And so it took a little bit of time. I'm not a bander. I decided not to move starlings. We didn't have a problem with starlings. This is one that I want to show. So an important thing that I did with Nest Month, so you can go ahead and play that, is because it took so much time to get the ladder up on top of my vehicle, I don't have a truck, and oh yeah, just go ahead and click, just click right on the, yeah, put the arrow in there and push. Here, let me come over. Right in the middle. Right on the picture and then push. So is it? Oh, what happened? This is fine. Okay, so I got Army surplus pole that you can connect to each other. I got lots of pictures of me like this. And I need to wear the hat just because. And so that's nest site monitoring. I took the ladder, but if I didn't need to use it, this was a lot quicker. Get so nervous. Okay, this one is the same site. Now, what's the challenge? You count how many nestlings are in here. Oh. Let me see. How did I do that? Did you see the egg right there on the right side? 4, and the 4th one was a little tiny thing, but you know, just using this, my camera I don't have, I'm going to try to switch to a GoPro, but I have to have a second person go with it. I don't need anybody else. I can go do this by myself. I just turn on video, stick it in there, and then I can go with that.
So what camera did you use for that?
Well, this, you kind of make do. No, actually, I do study tours to Belize, and I had an underwater camera that fit inside a thing, and it was what fit inside the hole. That was the bottom line. I could focus close. Okay, so no kestrels in 213, one kestrel in 214. Notice I only checked 23 nest boxes. And part of the problem is that the nest boxes were being primarily used in May. My semester was over. I didn't have students. I had commitments both to family and university. I just didn't have the time to get out. You need to get volunteers to help you. 215, it was even worse. I had a son get married in New York and was often study tour to Belize. And I was not motivated because I wasn't getting any kestrels. And I drive by in the middle of the winter and the boxes were falling apart. So, and then 216, I had a good group of kids. And so we had some success. We had 6 different places with kestrels. Didn't have much problems with starlings. Bottom line is the benefit of this is I've got these kids, these former students that just were tremendously excited about this. This picture over here on the right, one of my former students, we graduated, I was checking them in May, she just wanted to go because it was so important to her. I said, I don't have a picture, just a regular picture, good picture of egg. So she climbed up on the ladder, and because the ladder was on one side and she's holding her smartphone out there, it turned into a selfie, which we posted on our science Facebook page, and it was really popular. But it's just a really kind of neat thing. So there were program limitations. The semester ends before the kestrels really start nesting. Balancing getting students to actually come through and do their work and with all their other time commitments was a bit of a problem. I am kind of going a different direction. So I'm a member of the Nebraska Ornithologists Union. They asked me to present at their spring meeting. And my new idea is if I could get 10 NOU members, each to take 2 or 3 nest boxes throughout the state of Nebraska, manage them themselves. I can be a coordinator and teach them how to what to do and how to enter the data. I think that's a really good way to go. So that is my presentation.